Let Go and Let God podcast. We have a special guest today, Michaela. Hello. Sadly, Heaven couldn't join us today.
We miss her, for sure.
We do
Heaven,
miss
if you're
you.
watching this,
Miss you, girly.
I love you.
I love you, girl. What's a few fun facts about yourself, just to start us off?
Okay, fun facts. When I eat toaster strudels, I like my toaster strudel like semi-frozen in the middle. I put it
Okay.
in the toaster.
Yeah.
You let the outsides get crispy, and then you want it warm enough to where the icing melts.
Yes.
But I
of
want to
course.
bite into it, and I want it to be frozen in the middle.
I can't say that that's
Yeah.
like super weird, but you know, like
You should try it. You
Yeah.
should try it.
At home, y'all
And
y'all
then
need to
comment below if you liked it.
Yeah.
But that's one. I'm also like, I guess I'm double jointed in my elbows, but it's technically like hyperextension if you
try
really
it.
good
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
But well, I don't know.
You want me to tell you? Whoa, alright.
Yeah, in
Okay.
both of them.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know. I'm just a goofy girl.
Yeah,
That's
she
it.
was different.
I'm just not like the other girls.
No, yeah, she's
This is
very
gonna be
different.
so. I'm also just let me preface. I'm super weird and awkward, so this is gonna be just one of those awkward podcasts, but we're gonna roll with it.
Yeah, we're gonna just
Roll
go,
with
keep
it.
going. Yeah.
But yeah.
I was not guessing that first fact. That's
Yeah,
really
that's usually my go-to. If people ask me, it's not like I have like a lot of fun, interesting facts. I'm just
I
your.
feel like those are
I'm just
interesting.
an ordinary girl.
She's
I
so silly. I love
Uh,
that song.
Great
I really
song.
do, Yeah.
Honestly, Hannah Montana songs are really
Yeah.
iconic. The lyrics,
Oh, Chef's kiss. Honestly, I was watching Hannah Montana movie. So good.
so good. I
Yeah.
was talking about it recently a lot. I don't know why, because I think I was talking about it to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, I've never seen it." I'm like, "What are you doing with your
Like,
life?
what are you doing?
What do you mean?" And they
I
were
don't-
talking about The Climb because it came on their
The
playlist.
Climb, yeah.
I was like, "How dare you listen to that song and never
And I
watch
watched
the
movie
movie?"
because you don't know how she got there. to
Right,
make that
you
song.
can't sing those lyrics and
Yeah.
mean it if you've never seen it.
You've never seen her climb, no.
Yeah. No, come on.
No, yeah, I didn't realize that the Rascal Flatts were on that until like now, because I didn't know what
They
the
were, like,
Rascal
jamming
Flatts
in the living room.
were
Yeah.
until obviously now late in life. I was like,
You
wow.
listen to a little country music every now and then?
Because of my husband. Shout out to Keontae.
Shout out to Keontae. He likes
Yeah.
country music?
He loves.
I
country
would have
music.
never guessed that.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like the type, but he'll dress up like in boots and like like a whole get up and everything.
Alright,
Yeah.
alright.
It's country on the weekends, you know.
Just riding his horse around to work, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
I actually hate when people ask me that whenever, I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
get this, whenever they're like, "Oh, you're from a small town? Do you ride your horse to school?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No," but then I think about, like for our senior prank day, everybody drove their tractors to school. And then one day the chickens got out in the FFA hall, so I'm like, maybe we are
yeah.
in a little country.
Just a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, we both live in small towns.
Yeah.
So,
Itty bitty.
just itty bitty.
Shout out to the Libertines. So
Oh,
you,
we-
you're watching that? Yes. Just keep saying shout out. Shout out.
Shout out Brewster.
Shout out to Brewsters. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting us
Yeah,
post
use
up
your
in here.
space.
Yeah. You're not gonna get this mug when you come in because this is my mug, but I'll
Her
make you
personal-
good
yeah.
coffee. Yeah.
She actually works here. Ask for
Yeah.
Michaela when you come.
I'm a barista.
I guess this is a more serious pivot, but
What's your childhood
yeah.
trauma?
Yeah. I was just gonna say whatever you feel comfortable if
Yeah.
you want to share a little bit of your testimony.
Yeah. Oh my. Where do I even
Yeah.
start?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so old now. Such a long walk with the Lord. Well, I guess I have gone to church like my whole life. Like
Yeah.
I always tell people, basically in the womb, right?
Yeah.
Like my mom was taking me to church, and it was one of those Sunday mornings, Wednesdays, Saturday
Yeah.
nights, like constant. So I grew up in church, and I did like love the Lord. I joined like the youth worship team when I was 12.
Wow.
So I got into serving in the church really quickly. But I feel like my relationship with God it was personal,
Yeah.
but I almost had this view of like God does things through me. And so
Okay,
it was
yeah.
like, oh, I got to use my gifts and my talents for the kingdom and this big old mission.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know if you ever felt like this, but kind of growing up in the time that we did when like youth camps and conferences, and they would always do those calls, like altar calls, where it'd be like, if you feel called to ministry, like you feel called to be a missionary or whatever, like, you know, you feel that calling on your life, come up to the altar. And so I think that it almost put a little bit, and no like hate to anybody who did that. Like, I had a lot of great experiences, but I think it kind of gave me a lot of my relationship with the Lord is what I do for him instead of like who he is for me.
I get you.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it was kind of like a very work relationship, I felt like, which is funny because I'm in ministry now.
But it can be so easily, like, if you view it that way, it can change so easily.
Yeah. So I think that it really became personal, and I really say like this is where my relationship with the Lord deepened and kind of just switched a lot. Not that I wasn't saved before, but when I was about 20 years old, this crazy experience, like I was living like from 18 to 20, making a lot of not so great choices. And I honestly, like, to be straight up, I was on like depression medication because life was just, I internalized a lot, and I always want to make people happy at the expense of my own feelings. So not great. I've gone to therapy though, so we're okay. But then I was literally like, Lord, if you could just take me halfway across the world to get me out of my situation. And I literally went and moved halfway across the world to Guam with my sister, who's in the military, and her husband. And I had like a come to Jesus moment there. And it clicked for me that God doesn't just do things through me, but he does things for me. Because a lot of people had reached out to me and had, you know, hey, I'm so happy to hear you're doing better. I was praying for you that whole time. I've been praying for you. And so, it was almost this concept of this big God who I've seen like do miracles, and like, oh, I've used my voice for his kingdom. Like, personally was like, he was thinking about me and planning things out for me for months without my knowledge. So, like, my relationship with him, it was like, okay, like, we're in it together. Like, he sees me, he loves me. And that was about when I was 20. So I kind of say, like, that's really my testimony. Of my relationship with the Lord. But,
wow, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And a lot of things have happened also since then.
It's just like continue.
Crazy as well. But I think having that really set me up for, like, my faith walk. Especially in the last 4 years of my life, which was crazy. Yeah.
That's so good, man. I love that. You just wrapped that up so.
Thank you.
Well.
Crazy to think that we've known each other.
I know. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and I remember you were like doing TikToks and stuff at the time. I was like, that's cool. And I also really loved your laugh. I think your laugh is so cute. I was just talking about it a couple weeks ago. I was like, look, she's so cute.
Either people love it or they think it's weird.
I think it's
either
great.
one.
And if you think it's weird, come talk to me.
Okay, so my first question for you is, how do you balance being a spiritual leader and still needing to grow personally in your own walk with Christ? I feel like this is like just can apply to anybody.
Yeah, that is tough. I feel like, for me personally, like, I related a lot to working in ministry. Actually, that's like a big challenge for me right now, is when you're working in ministry, or maybe you're just serving a lot in church, like if you volunteer, sometimes, let's be honest, our volunteers can be like staff, you know, because of how much they volunteer. So it's really easy to kind of wrap up, well, my relationship is my job, for me personally, like for work, or my relationship is how much I serve. And so you kind of put God in that box.
Very true,
And then when I go home, it's like, well, I want a break from work. And so then I'm taking a break from God because I've put God in my work box. And I have to learn to separate that God. Like, God is a part of my job, but that's not all who he is, you know? And really, everything that I do is supposed to be the outpour of my secret place, you know? So if I'm not having the secret personal time with the Lord, then what is all of this for, you know? Like, God, somebody really, shout out Daniel Contreras. I know, like, shout everybody out. But he told me, I think it was last year, I think I told you guys this too, is that, you know, you can be a warrior for the kingdom all day long.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's great, you know, but it's more important to remember that you're a child of the king before you're a warrior for the kingdom.
So true, yeah.
And I think that God really wants a lot of us, especially me, to learn that. So for me, learning to separate that and my job, and God is in my job, but also being intentional with my personal time. I feel like I'm such an escapism person that when I leave work or if I leave a task or something, I'm exhausted and I just want to escape into a book or into social media. And we've talked about that a lot, that I've had to take so many breaks. Like, I can't tell you how many social media fasts I've been on. Like, and then I'm just like, why don't I just delete it? Like, completely? I don't know. We're gonna, maybe we'll get there one day.
Yeah, you're good to
You gotta pray through that. But, so when I find myself not spending enough personal time with the Lord, I look around and think, okay, what are all my distractions? If that's social media, I delete social media. If that's reading, okay, let me take a break from reading my books. If that's watching TV or whatever it is, I have to really be intentional with taking those things out and almost relearning. It's like a workout. And I hate saying that too, but like your personal time with the Lord, it's like you're working out your spiritual health. And so that first week of learning to prioritize one-on-one time with the Lord is gonna feel like, you know, like, oh, I gotta get up at a certain time, or I gotta put this aside so I can be intentional. And then after you get through that week or two, you're like, wait, this is so good and beneficial for my body. And you just get into a routine of it. But I'm not perfect, so my personal time.
Me neither. Me neither.
But yeah, it's definitely a challenge learning to prioritize it. And you can always tell whenever you're making that personal time. And I can always tell how much it affects my job, or even when I'm leading worship on stage. I can always tell.
Fake that.
No, you can't. I can tell when I've spent more time with the Lord versus when I haven't. But don't be hard on yourself either, because that's also, I feel like, another tactic from the enemy. It's like you get off the stage and then you start thinking, or you get done having interaction with somebody, you're like, I could have said so many better things had I been reading my Bible that morning and I talked to them. And then it's like that shame that kicks in, and then it pushes you more away from spending personal time with the Lord. And so now it's just like this nasty cycle. So
like that overthinking.
Yeah, it's like I can't beat myself up about it, but what I can do is be like, okay, so now I just know I need to make sure to make time with Jesus.
That's so good, man. How do you protect your time and personal boundaries in a role that feels 24/7?
How do I protect my time and my personal boundaries in a role that feels 24/7?
Yeah.
Again, that is something that I'm learning this year for sure.
Well, whatever you've learned so far, feel free to share.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What have I learned?
You're like, what have I learned?
I'm such a yes person. Again, it's like that whole people pleasing thing.
Same. Yeah.
So I don't want people to get mad at me. So I'm like, oh yes, especially when it feels like it's for the Lord.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, then I feel like I'm saying no to God, you know? When that's not always the case. I think it's really important, well, obviously in anything you do, to run it through a prayer, right? Like
Very
a conversation
true.
with the Lord. Like if there is something that comes up and, you know, I don't know if I have the capability or the time or the effort to do it, then I'm like, okay. I think leaning on discernment on what to say yes and no to is really, really important.
Very true.
Even in your job, even for church. Like, it's okay to not volunteer on a Sunday because you need a break.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a bad thing. Again, because if you get to the point where you're overworking yourself, then you're burnt out, not just in your service, but you're burnt out in your relationship with God, and that affects your personal life. But ministry it does feel so 24/7, and you hear people say that a lot. Like I've heard people say like it's 24/7, you got to be available all the time.
I think it's like very true. And like even if you don't work in ministry or not, I mean you're called to be a Christian 24/7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you go to the grocery store and you don't feel like ministering to someone, but God's like, hey, go pray for that person. You still gotta do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I have to ask myself if I'm running myself ragged and I see it pouring through in my friendships or with my relationship with my mom or my health. Like your health will be so affected if you're not protecting your personal boundaries. And if I'm starting to see all the negative effects in those areas of my life, then I need to take a step back. Maybe you can't always meet up with that friend who needs to have coffee, and like, that's okay. Because also, if you're saying yes to everything that you're not necessarily supposed to say yes to, you're robbing somebody else the opportunity to step in and fulfill that role. Again, I fall back on that whole, God has to do something in you before he can do something through you. And if you're not protecting your boundaries and your personal time with the Lord or whatever that is, or your health, like I can't do anything if I'm literally like constantly sick because I'm not sleeping, because I'm doing everything, you know? And so like what good am I to anybody at that point if I can't say no to things? But I really, like, that's as much as I know. I'm still find myself saying yes to a lot. And actually I took 2 weeks of vacation recently. I went to Japan, so my boyfriend was really nice. It was like absolutely nothing. Like when I say absolutely nothing, I did like a whole lot of nothing. Like I just slept and I watched movies and I like, you know, went on walks and I did some devotionals. And I came back and I just jumped right back into the flow of my lifestyle. And then I realized like, oh, I have a very chaotic, unroutine lifestyle. And immediately coming back, I'm like, I feel dehydrated. I feel tired. I'm like taking so much coffee and like espresso and energy drinks to keep myself alive. And like, just don't think that that's the way that God wants us to function. Like trying to people please by saying yes to everything, or you just want to make sure everybody's okay and everything works out well. But little do you know, like, this is just me, but resentment grows if you do not protect your boundaries. And you might think, oh, I'm not that type of person that will resent people or resent things. But if you ignore your personal feelings and your boundaries to just say yes to everybody and everything, like you'll catch yourself getting to that point where you feel frustrated when that person asks. But then you say yes still. But deep down I'm like, you're like, here I go, I gotta say yes to them again and blah 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 or whatever. Exactly. And I don't want to do that with people. Like I don't want to have bitterness or resentment because I didn't learn how to protect my boundaries.
That's so good. The next question is, have you ever doubted your calling, and how did God meet you in that?
Oh, for sure. If somebody was like, you're so called to kids ministry, you're gonna do amazing things, like that's really encouraging. I mean, that's amazing for people to say that. But I feel like I would go home at the end of the day and be like, if I'm not doing that, then I'm not a good Christian.
You have to live up to that.
I'm like having to live up to this expectation of this calling that God has placed on my life, and it almost feels so heavy when really the calling is just to be in relationship with the Lord. And wherever you're at, like if you're in relationship with Him, if you're constantly pursuing just who He is, and having that time with Him, then wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, God's gonna bless and God's gonna use. And I know we have gifts and I know we have talents, and God does use those, but the calling is to be in relationship with Him. So for me, and the pressure of the calling, and not feeling like I'm worthy or like I'm, you know, I'm not doing it well or whatever, I have to tell myself, no, the calling is to be in relationship with you, and the gifts and the talents and what you do with that after is just extra.
So good.
But I remember when I accepted the job, I've always done like worship ministry. My brother was a worship leader in our youth group.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like my whole family. They all sing and play. It's like the Von Trapp family.
Yeah, they all do something.
We all do something. So he was our worship leader, and I remember he was like trying to get me to join the worship team. And I was like, no, I was so shy. I was so shy. I was so awkward. I was so shy. I was like, I can't. I don't even know what a harmony is. Like, what is that? And he told me if I auditioned, he would buy me Dairy Queen after the audition. And so I was like,
then deal.
I'm in. That's the way to my heart. So I auditioned like at 12 years old. I've been a part of
Wow.
worship team like ever since. So I've been doing that for a really long time. But I never like fully led a team of my own. I've never gone, like I said earlier, I've never
Yeah.
gone to school. I've never
Yeah.
studied music theory. Everything I know on my instrument is self-taught. Like, guys, I use a
Wow.
I don't know if anybody plays the guitar and they're watching this. I use a capo for everything. Like, I play in the key of C and G, and I just be moving that capo. No bar chords. No, my fingers, they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, like,
I don't blame you.
my music knowledge is not super vast.
Yeah.
And I'm a more vocalist than I would say a musician.
Wow.
So I never felt, actually, I remember in youth group, I remember talking to the Lord and just praying, and I was like, I'm never gonna lead. Like, I don't want to lead. I'm
Yeah.
too shy, I'm too awkward. Like, I don't want to be in charge of a team, but I'll sing, you know,
Yeah.
I'll be a part of one. And then I feel like when you tell God no, he's
He's
just
like,
like, remember when you
that's
said,
cute.
yeah, when you said you didn't want to do that, we're gonna do it.
We're gonna do that, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was a part of a team, and then I started going to, well, I hadn't actually started at Living Way yet.
I remember when you came on. I was there that day.
Really?
I was like, I think when you were interviewing or something. I was
Really?
with Becca. Yeah,
That's
there.
crazy.
It was very crazy. She's like, yeah, this is a new worship leader.
Like, wow, she's kind of crazy. Started 2021 technically, December of 2020. I was kind of back and forth, trying out different churches,
Yeah.
trying to figure out, okay, where was God trying to make my home church?
Yeah.
And Patsy Howard, love her, kept messaging me and was like, you need to come
Yeah.
on, check out Living Way, come check out Living Way. And I was like, I went there when I was a kid, when it was LBC2C.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I don't really feel like that's where God's pulling me back to. But they needed somebody for worship. So
Yeah.
I ended up showing up. I sat with her in the very front row because she pulled me out there. Love that.
Yeah.
And I just felt, you just know, like
Yeah.
when you know when you're supposed to be somewhere that God's placing you, like you just
when
feel
that
it.
door opens.
Yeah, even if you're kind of like hesitant, like you just know it.
Yeah.
So I met with Naomi Moore, who was the worship creative pastor at the time. And what was funny was I was just reading in Jeremiah 1.
Yeah.
God is talking to Jeremiah and saying, I've appointed you as a prophet to the nations.
Oh yeah.
And Jeremiah's like, no, I'm too young. I
Yeah.
can't do that. That's crazy.
Mhm.
And God tells him, I knew you before you were formed.
Yeah.
You know, I've appointed you for this time, for
Yeah.
this purpose. And even more to that scripture that I love is he tells him, Jeremiah, you know, what do you see? And he says, I see an almond branch. And an almond branch is significant of God being watchful over the promise. And so God's
So
basically telling Jeremiah, like, I'm watchful over that promise. So not only have I appointed you, but I'm going to watch you through that promise.
So good.
So I read that. I was highlighting
Yeah.
that Naomi called me and they offered me the position of the worship director. And I immediately was like, I don't have the skill set.
Yeah.
I don't have the talent. Like, I cannot lead a team. I was 22. I just turned 23. No, I was 22 when she
Really?
called me. Yeah. So
Whoa.
young, I was a baby. I think about that now. I was like,
Yeah.
what was I thinking? It's crazy. So, and then I was really young, and so I'm going through all those excuses,
Mhm.
and that popped in my mind where God was like, stop giving me excuses.
Yeah.
You know, I knew you before you were formed, and if I'm leading you to this place, like, I'm gonna give you exactly what you need. I'm gonna equip you exactly
Yeah.
how I need to equip you. Like, why would we think that God wouldn't do that? Like, why would we
Yeah.
think that he would lead us somewhere that he's not going to give us what we need?
Exactly.
So that's been a really big challenge for me as a worship leader through the past 4 years. Like, I still have my doubts sometimes. And as you do it more, you know, you learn more, you feel more confident.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just music ministry in general, as a calling or as
Yeah.
a gift or whatever, like it is, I feel like I definitely am so hard on myself still to this day. But I have to remember, if this is where God has placed me, that, you know, he's gonna show up and
Yeah,
he's gonna
he
equip me,
is.
right?
Very true.
So whatever it is that I'm lacking, and that's what he wants to do. You know, in our weakness, he is strong. And I think he wants the people that, I think sometimes if you take the people that aren't as equipped, it gives more opportunity for the Lord to really show up and show out. It's just the humble heart that you gotta have. But I still question. I get more confident in things, but then God leads you into new things where it's like, hey, I want you to preach now. And you're like, no. And then I'm like, I literally, one of the first times I got up to speak, I literally said, well, I'm really nervous. I'm really sweaty. So confident about being super sweaty because I got nervous. And that's okay. Yeah, that's honest. People want relatable, you know?
That's relatable.
If I heard a pastor say that, I'd be like, I get it. Because I did the same thing.
I've been there.
We've been there. So I still question. It's also good to remind myself of what I know, and like reading the word, you know, and like reminding myself of who God says I am and all those things when I start to doubt myself. But
so good. When you were talking about preaching for the first time I preached or whatever you want to call it, it was supposed to last like 20-30 minutes. I think it lasted like 10 minutes or something. I went through my notes so quickly.
You're like, and I'm done.
Yeah. And actually, I was like, how, because it was like on Image and it was like a girl singing. I was like, so has any of you felt like where you didn't like yourself? I was like, raise your hand. And it was like 2 people in the crowd. No one raised their hand. No. I'm like, cool.
You're like,
just me. Just me.
You're like, yeah, me neither. Me neither.
Girl. You know, scrap this.
Forget about it.
Forget about that.
I wasn't even preaching in youth that night. I think I was just like a volunteer leader.
Yeah.
And I'm not always in there. Like, this was like a rare thing.
Yeah.
And I jokingly, I shouldn't even say this because I feel like everyone's gonna roast me for this. I jokingly dabbed. People still do that. And it wasn't like I was like serious. It wasn't like I do this all the time.
Yeah.
But I jokingly was like, you know?
Yeah.
And we got in the car and I was like driving them home and so seriously. And they're always like so fun.
Yeah.
We like roast each other, whatever. And all of them were like, please don't ever do that again. And I thought they were joking. I was like, guys, it wasn't that bad. And they're like, no, we're serious. Please don't ever do that again. And I was like,
what advice would you give someone currently sensing a call into full-time ministry?
ooh, read the book Boundaries before you go.
That's not funny. That's actually really good
It's
advice.
actually really good advice. And it is funny at the same time. I think that we can go into ministry, like your first job in ministry, you go in with like these doe eyes of like, it's gonna be amazing and I get to just work for the Lord. I get paid to work for the Lord. And that's incredible. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think that I'm not trying to discourage anybody from feeling that way. I think ministry can be so beautiful stepping into it. Some organizations can be super healthy and some aren't, because the truth of it is balancing business and, you know, balancing business and ministry, like the church itself, like what you do on a Sunday morning and Wednesdays and all of that is really, really hard. It's not just any business. It's like, it's almost driven on emotions and, you know, feelings and all of that. So
true,
it's really hard to sometimes have a healthy organization because of that. But I'm not like trying to diss anybody or anything like that. You can definitely step into different places and have different experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would say when you feel like your expectations aren't being met, don't be disappointed in the Lord and stay in that disappointment to where you're just closed off to being hopeful for anything in ministry for the future. I wish that I would have put more expectations in God than in other people when I started in ministry.
That's so good.
I think I expected all of these people to do all these amazing things for me and with me in ministry, instead of really putting that on the Lord and in the Lord, because if he was the one that brought me there, then it was whatever he wanted to do and however he wanted to do it. But whenever you put your expectation in people, people are people, and you know, they've got their own things going on. Like, no one's perfect, and so like life happens. They're gonna let you down. I'm gonna let people down. Like, we're all
So
just
true,
human. So
I
when
don't think that's so true. Like,
yeah,
but like,
she's definitely like
no, but like literally, I think when you're looking for a church or you're serving a ministry, sometimes you're like, well, this happened or this. I'm like, sometimes you gotta let that go because there's never gonna be a perfect church,
Yeah.
a perfect ministry. 'Cause
And
we're
then you go-
people running it.
Yeah, and then you go to the next church and
Yeah.
you're like, this pastor's amazing. This
Yeah.
pastor's perfect. Like, they're definitely going to give me everything that I need.
Give a few months, they might say something wrong.
Yeah.
Because we're human.
And then they disappoint you. And
Yeah.
so
So true.
if you instead walk into it with, like, this is where God has me, and I'm going to trust in Him to guide my steps in this position. And I'm not saying that those people can't like do amazing things for you and everything, but if you
Yeah.
put your expectations in people, you're going to be so disappointed so quickly. I think I put a lot of expectations in people, and when I felt like, oh, things weren't happening like they were going to happen, or so and so said that was going to happen and it
Yeah.
didn't, you know, I slowly just became very disappointed that I just stopped expecting good things from people and
Yeah.
from God. Like, I got to the point where I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, the Lord like let me down, and in
Wow.
actuality He never let me down.
Yeah.
But everything was intentional too. It wasn't like
Yeah.
God was like, you made a mistake along the way.
Yeah.
You know, but you're gonna face a lot more disappointment if you walk into ministry with all of your expectations. This is just like a general statement.
Yeah.
Like, I love where I'm at. I love my campus pastors. I love Living Way.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing. I love them. But that was a quick learning process for me. So I would say if you are getting ready to step into ministry, one, make sure you've prayed about it a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, like, that's where God's leading you, God's taking you. Two, manage your expectations well.
Yeah.
Really place those expectations in the Lord. And constantly lean on Him, and then don't think it's the end of the world if somebody does let you down, because people will just do that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think we just put a lot of pressure on our pastors just in general too.
Yeah.
I think about how often do I pray for my pastors versus like complain about it.
Ooh, so true.
You know,
Yeah.
like if you
Yeah.
find yourself complaining about your pastors more often, I would ask the question, well, am I praying for them ever?
That's so true. Yeah.
Don't take things personal either. Again, ministry is so feely that if you like throw ideas out there and they're not accepted, it's like, oh, you hate me, and you don't think I can do this job, when
Yeah.
that's not the case. Don't wrap your identity up in what you're doing.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I love Pastors Josh and Ashley. Recently, Pastor Josh has told me that too. Michaela, I've always wanted you to know that you're more than the worship director at Living Way. Like, your
Yeah.
gift and your talent, God can use that anywhere. If God has put that anointing on your life, then He can use it at any place. It's not just at that one place. And so if
Oh yeah.
you know, you could be there for years, you could be there for 2 years, you could be there for
Yeah.
4 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever. But when you feel like God is trying to move you, like, be willing to go wherever the Lord is going to move you with your gift and talent and that anointing in ministry.
Yeah.
Because your identity isn't at the location that you're at. While unwrapping my personal relationship with the Lord for my job, I've had to wrap my identity out of my job. Put ourselves in boxes.
No. Don't put God in a box, and don't put yourself in a
Yes,
box.
don't put God in a box either.
And so going to like the whole worship topic, what is the biggest thing you have learned through leading worship?
Ooh. I think, again, this is like more of my teenage years, like same
Yeah.
time frame, I guess, so I'm like 18. I took a break. This is the longest break I ever took from worship ministry,
Wow.
or like a worship team. It was about like 10 months. I was like going to rehearsals on Thursdays, doing Wednesday nights, doing
Yeah.
Sundays, and I was like, because everybody just kept telling me like, oh, we
Yeah.
love to hear you lead. We love to,
Yeah.
you know, like, we're so impacted by what you're doing. And those are beautiful things.
Yeah.
I mean, please don't
Yeah.
take that like I don't like that, or like I don't appreciate that. But I felt like I was doing it for everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know, I need a break. And I felt like, for me, I felt like almost like distance from the Lord in that 10-month period. And it wasn't like I was doing horrible things yet. But I felt like it was easier for me to not show up on Sunday morning because I wasn't planned to serve or to sing. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to sleep in. And then one Sunday turned into 2 Sundays, and 2 Sundays turned into 3 Sundays.
Such an easy slope to get into.
And then I felt just the distance, and I missed leading. And so, not even leading, but just being a part of using my gifts in worship. So I re-auditioned, I joined the team, and I think in that moment I had realized, what I do on platform, or even if it's not on the platform, like however it is in worship. And again, I know worship isn't just like music and singing and lyrics, like, it's really the act of worship. But I think I learned what worship kind of truly was in that moment. It's sacrifice. Like, worship is sacrifice. And it is a sacrifice of my time to show up all the time and to be a part of the team, and it was a sacrifice to do this, but I loved it because I realized that it kept me close to the Lord. It kept me committed to the Lord. It kept me like just diving into Him more. So going back into it, when I started leading worship from that point, it became a lot more about me and Him and less about the response of the congregation and what I can do for them because of the gift God's placed on my life.
And I'm sure people who were attending worship was like, wow, the worship is different.
Probably see the change.
Yeah, just because it's like it came from just such a from the secret place, such a holy place. From like just you and God.
Yeah, and it definitely makes a difference too. When this is a part of, again, like untangling my relationship with God out of my job. Because I play all the time and I sing all the time, I have found myself hardly picking up my guitar at home. And like singing at home. And I listen to worship music while I'm driving and stuff, but I haven't as often been picking up my guitar. And I had that realization earlier this year when I started learning to maybe say no to some things and creating some boundaries. And so I picked up my guitar and realized, like, it's not that I'm doing this for my job. I'm doing this to just worship in my secret place right now. And again, that what we do on the stage, it flows out from what we're doing in our one-on-one time. That it's not for everybody else. It's for me and the Lord. So Scripture even says that God sings songs over us. So if He can sing songs over us, like, we should be able to do the same thing back.
We'll end with one more question. What does it look like to finish well in ministry, and how do you live today with the end in mind?
Being intentional in the relationships. Like ministry, it's almost that Mary and Martha thing. Both are necessary, right?
Yes, very true.
Martha, the task, the doer, all of those, the admin, like, that's important.
Yeah, in the church, you need that.
Yeah, and making sure the service is running smooth and all of that. But I feel like because ministry can be a job, or serving can be a job, volunteering, whatever, we can really get so like, well, I need to make sure that I get this done, that we're missing out on a personal interaction. I found myself, like, on a Sunday morning making sure, I'm like, oh, I need to go make sure that the lyrics are corrected because we changed something in rehearsal. And so Ashley's coming up to me and she's like, hey, it's so good to see you. And I'm like, hey, good to see you. Bye. I'll see you after service. And I just run past her because I'm like, I got to make sure these lyrics are checked out. And to me, like, I feel like the Lord's up there, like, you're missing it. Like, that interaction is what I'm asking you to do. Like, if the lyrics aren't updated, the lyrics aren't updated. Like, that's not the goal. The goal is, how do I finish well in ministry? Like, how was I able to impact the people around me in just a conversation? Sometimes just the smile of someone, a greeter at the door, or even if you just see somebody, that's ministry. Ministry is connecting with one another, like fellow believers, even if they're not a believer, and like somebody that doesn't believe in God, but you take the opportunity to just sit with them for 2 minutes and talk with them. I think we need to think about that more than the production of it all. At the end of the day, finishing well in ministry for me, like if I look at a reel, like if I go to heaven and I get to see this whole reel of my life, right? I don't know if that's what's gonna happen or not, but I hope that I see more intentional interactions with people versus more, oh, that song looked amazing. Not that those things are bad, but if that's the whole reel of my life in ministry, then I would be so disappointed by the end of it all. While we are here on earth, right? While we do have a commission, I think that he really would love for us to have more of those interactions.
Lord, thank you for just this wonderful conversation. I know you're just moving through this, and Lord, I just pray for everyone who is wanting to go into ministry or is in ministry right now, that you would strengthen them and let them just be renewed by this conversation, and that be encouraged to seek you in the secret place first before they ever minister to anyone or seek out ministry or volunteer or whatever, that they would just have a relationship with you first, and then you're just going to flow in all those areas after that. Lord, thank you again just for everything that was said. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. Thanks for letting me do that.